Good morning, beloved ones.
Good morning.
Don't you feel the power of that prayer? Turn to someone and tell them, you are the prayer in action. You are the prayer in action. You're the prayer in action. Thank you, thank you. You know, beloved ones, I am so glad and delighted that so many of you are keeping up with the 40-day action plan for being a fearless light bearer. Because it's going to take being fearless to confront life as it is unfolding right now, right, on the planet. So I thank you for that, because what you are doing, whether you are aware of it or not, as you work with these ideas in this 40-day plan, reciting the prayer for protection, spending 5 minutes a day filling your consciousness with light, and then doing the Ho'oponopono prayer of forgiveness, the Hawaiian prayer of just forgiving and releasing and letting, and then ending with the great invocation. What you are doing is preparing yourself, but more than that, you are conditioning your consciousness to be absolutely ready for whatever challenge may come your way, whatever may unfold in these days ahead. You are conditioning your consciousness. Turn to somebody and tell them it's time to condition your consciousness. It's time to condition your consciousness. You know the song that says it's time to see what condition your condition is in. Well, we don't want to see what condition your condition is in. We want you to condition your consciousness. Because the condition that you are in is simply a reflection of the consciousness you are holding, right? Whatever is manifesting in your life and affairs is a reflection of some level of what is taking place in your inward being. Whether it's directly or indirectly a part of you individually, it is a part of the race consciousness. So we're all in this together. What's showing up is showing up for a high purpose. It is a part of a condition or a consciousness that is either seeking to be elevated and expressed or to be transformed. It's a high work that's taking place. And so we need to be ready. We need to condition our consciousness so that we can handle, we can have a positive impact, and we can do a positive work to affect what is taking place in the outer. And that only can happen when we are clean and clear and purposeful on the inside. When we have our consciousness, when we have our house in order, when we are prayed up. You all heard the phrase, we know the phrase being prayed up, right? Well, this is certainly one of those times when it is calling for all of us to be prayed up, because we cannot afford the luxury of having holes in our consciousness. We can't have weak spots, you see, in our faith, shaky faith, or areas in which we have doubt, and some areas in which we're strong, and then we have fear, and then we have faith. We can't have all of that. We have to be ready. We have to come ready, strengthened and armed, fully armed to the teeth with spirit. Others may be armed with other things, but we're going to be armed with spirit. There's a scripture that I love. It's one of my favorite scriptures, and it talks about putting on the whole armor of God. You familiar with that one? Put on the whole armor of God. And actually it is Paul, the Apostle Paul, writing to the church of Ephesians, to the Ephesians. And he's trying to encourage them, and he's trying to instruct them on how to face tough times, how to handle and face challenging situations and moments. And so I wanted to read a little bit of that. This is from Ephesians 6 verses 13, and I'm reading from the New International Version, Ephesians 6:13, and it says, "Therefore, put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after having done everything, to stand. Stand firm then, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all this, take up the shield of faith, which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep on praying for all the Lord's people. Pray also for me, that whenever I speak words, that may be given me, so that I do so fearlessly, and I fearlessly make known the mystery of the gospel, for which I am an ambassador in chains. Pray that I may declare it fearlessly as I should. And I love this because he's telling them, you got to be fully prayed up, but you got to be covered from head to toe. Put on the breastplate, the full armor. Put on the breastplate and your shoes and the word of God, and carry a sword. Now, just before he says this, really he's telling them about them having to engage in coming up against what the traditionals call principles of evil. And he's telling them that they need to be strong so that they can fight against the devil's schemes, and that they can fight against the principalities and the spiritual forces that are trying to bring evil into the expression, into heaven, into the world. And it's all of this stuff. Now, we know that in New Thought and in Truth, we don't necessarily believe in the devil. We don't necessarily believe in evil, at least at the devil as a separate personified being, because there is no other force and being other than God. But we don't necessarily also believe that there are principalities out there that can work against God. However, we do know that there are opportunities to express a low consciousness, a low vibration, and to come from that, or to express a high vibration, a heavenly consciousness, the kingdom of heaven consciousness. And that when there are those who choose to come from a low vibration and hold that in their consciousness, in their heart, and in their spirit, they are manifesting and can produce things of a lower nature. We used to always ask, well, is there, evil in the world? Well, we know evil does not come from God, but is there evil in the world? You bet. But it is not from God. It is from who? Man. It's man's inhumanity. So we are, where some people might say that this is a time where we're in spiritual warfare against the devil. I don't have time to be in no warfare against the devil. I'm going to be working with God. However, I understand. But I understand that there are manifestations out there of a low consciousness and vibration that we need to match, we need to work with. It is simply bringing light into the darkness. And so we do have a work to do. And as we do this work, Paul is saying, you better be prayed up. You need to put on the helmet of God, carry the sword, which is the word of God. You need to have peace. You need to have strength so that you can stand. And you can withstand anything that comes your way. So I like that, because what this says to me as I'm being prayed up, as I'm covering myself with head to toe so that I can feel the vibration and the energy of spirit, there's something that I can do that helps me to cover myself. And that is with prayer. Because prayer as an intention, prayer as a stated intention, is a good covering. Prayer is a good way to condition your consciousness. Prayer is a good way to keep you lifted up, which is why Paul said, look, pray for all kinds of prayer. Just pray. Pray for everybody and pray for me. That's what we're doing. Prayer is so powerful. Now, every Sunday we sing the prayer of protection, right? And that's one of the things that you're doing in your 40-day prayer. Every day we sing the prayer of protection, and it's Unity's own prayer. And it was written by Unity minister, poet laureate James Dillard Freeman. And this prayer was carried to the moon. It was carried on our actual first moon landing by Buzz Aldrin. He took it with him. And I thought, well, what better thing? He's going into some unknown territory. He wanted to have something with him that was going to remind him, I need to be divinely protected. And from what I understand, he didn't even really know about unity, but he knew that prayer carried some energy, so he took it with him to the moon. The second poem written by James Dillard Freeman is actually on the moon. They left it by another astronaut, and it's the prayer called I Am There. And we used to give that out if you're a new member. It's a powerful poem. Go ahead and read that. That one is on they took some things on a microfiche and they left it on the moon. So unity is on the moon. But the prayer of protection, although we say it every Sunday, we say the original 5 verses that James Dillard Freeman wrote, but there's a longer version of the prayer that's lesser known. It's a longer version, but I want to read it. And it says, the light of God surrounds me, the love of God enfolds me, the power of God protects me, the presence of God watches over me. This is the one we're familiar with. The next stanza is, the mind of God guides me, the life of God flows through me, the laws of God direct me, the peace of God abides within me. And the third stanza, the joy of God uplifts me. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Now, this is, and I've asked them to sort of put that up so we can, because I want to go over this a little bit. But I'm thinking light, love, power, and presence of God, which surrounds, enfolds, protects, and watches us, is certainly enough, meaning that first stanza is enough for us to feel divinely protected, right? The light and love of God and the power of God is enfolding, surrounding, protecting, being with us. That's enough. But these added lines simply round out the teachings and the blessings and the ability and the power of God to really work in our lives. So even though it's lesser known, it carries some interesting things. And I want us to kind of look at each one of these. And the first line of the second stanza says, the mind of God guides me. It guides me. Well, if you can't figure out what to do with the all-knowing mind of God, the omniscient one guiding you and directing you, you will never know what to do. The mind of God guides me, meaning all wisdom, all knowledge lies at your fingertips with the mind of God guiding you. The key is we have to begin to trust it. You know, when you were singing that we would not stray, if you lead me and you guide me, I promise I won't stray. And tears came to my eyes because I thought there are times when I've asked for guidance and direction, and I felt I've got it, but I strayed from it. I didn't stay the course. I didn't, and so I was like, yes, if the mind of God is guiding me, all I need to do is to trust it, to follow that, to have enough faith to follow that guidance, to ask and seek and then listen and look for the answers, listen for the answers, for the signs, for the directions, and then follow it. Because if we can do this often enough, it will be easier for us to recognize God when God shows up. To recognize this is the guidance of God. I need not question it. I need only to follow it. The mind of God guides me. Is that, yes, the mind of my, so let me hear you affirm that, please. The mind of God guides me. Just take that in. Close your eyes and let's affirm it again. The mind of God guides me. The mind of God. Then it says, the life of God flows through me. Now, what a revelation this is for one's healing. The life of God flows through me. What a revelation it is to know that the life force, that energy that created the universe, is that same life force that flows through my body, that flows through my being, that flows through my mind and my heart. You see, and that this flow of divine energy is also at my fingertips. It is what enables healing to take place on any level. Life, the life of God flows through me. It's what helps us to feel alive, to feel vibrant, to feel the dynamic energy. It animates us and gives us life. So doesn't matter what situation, but if you to understand that the life of God flows through me and to take that into your consciousness, what healing could take place? The life of God flows through me. Let's affirm that. The life of God flows through me. Feel that. The life of God flows through me. The laws of God direct me. The laws of God. Now, all of nature has rules of order. We may think things are happening by happenstance, but all of nature follows rules of order, laws of being, which we can follow to establish what certain outcomes would be if we were to follow the laws of being, right? If we were to follow the laws of God. That we would be assured of certain outcomes if we could do that, a certain level of order if we're following the laws of God. Now, I'm not talking just simply about laws like the laws of the Ten Commandments, because those are kind of moral laws. Those are laws of behavior, which are certainly good to follow. But I'm talking about following the laws of being, the laws of manifestation, the laws of creation. See, the laws that bring us directly into the presence of God, into the experience of the divine. Those laws that cause us to recognize that our lives are now in divine order. See, when you know the spiritual laws of God or of the universe, you have greater assurance, because laws are simply principles in action. That's how we define a spiritual law. It is a principle in action. And a principle, when something is a principle, it is absolute. Like the principles of what? Mathematics. The principles of addition and subtracting. As a principle, it's always going to be true, correct? 2 plus 2 is always going to be what? No matter what. Is that law, that principle of addition using 2 plus 2, that principle will always manifest what? As 4. Always. And so spiritual laws are just the principles in action when we begin to apply them. Now here's the thing. You can apply a principle incorrectly. You can say 2 plus 2 equals 6 if you want to. But is that going to change the fact that it really equals 4? You may come up with an error in how you are applying the principle, but it doesn't change the principle. So sometimes people say, well, I was applying these spiritual laws and it didn't work. And I'm going to tell you right now, there was something to do with you and not the law. Something you didn't quite do. Maybe you prayed a prayer and then you doubted, right? Or maybe you used the prayer for a high vibration, but you had really a low intention. I mean, there's something that was amiss because laws, the principles of God, work if you work them. Spiritual laws work if you work them. So when it says here, the laws of God direct me, you have the ability to know with the assurance that if I use and apply a divine law, a principle of God, it will manifest in my life with assurance. That's a beautiful blessing. So, the laws of God direct me. Affirm that. The laws of God direct me. The peace of God abides within me. The peace of God. I love this one. I love this one because, think about it. It says the peace of God guides me. If we had to depend upon some outer condition and some outer experience and some outer circumstance or outer activity or some outer force in order to experience peace, we would be in trouble. Correct? Yes, because there is always something out here that's going to disturb, that has the ability and the possibility of disturbing our peace. There's always something going on. Something that may not have appeared as we wanted it to. Something that didn't go quite right. There's always the unexpected where you have to be ready for it, right? And so if you think that the world is going to unfold perfectly as I see it and envision it, you might be in trouble. Because if you hitch your peace to that, you will have no peace. There's a favorite verse that I love. It's an affirmation that says, nothing can disturb the calm peace of my soul. Which means no thing, nothing out here, no thing. Peace is an inside job. True peace can only come as you experience. It is a result. Peace is a result of your experiencing or touching the spirit within. That's how you get peace. It isn't because things are working well out here. Peace is established already in your being. You have access to the peace of God already, and it abides within you. It's the Spirit, it's the presence of God, and it's always available at any breath, any moment, any time. The peace of God abides within me. Affirm that. The peace of God abides within me. Stop looking for peace out here. As light bearers, we're doing a work in consciousness, but the peace we're doing is being established right here, right? Within. Because as within, so without. As we become peaceful, full of peace, our world manifests and demonstrates peace. Even if it's turbulent out there, we will be in peace. We will stand, as the scripture said, you'll stand firm, rooted, grounded. Stuff may be swirling all around you, but you're going to be like a tree that's planted by the water, strong in peace, right? The joy, it says, the joy of God uplifts me. Now, this one is interesting because usually when we are down, it is hard for us to lift ourselves up. Have you noticed that? When you're really, really down, people say, oh, come on, snap out of it, you know. And you really, it's hard for us to lift ourselves out. But listen to what it says. Notice it says, the joy of God uplifts me. See, when we're down, we don't have to manufacture joy. We don't have to try to conjure up joy when we're down. Let me be happy. Let me sing some joy songs. Oh, let me see, let me see if I can get myself to be happy when your spirit is down. That's okay. That's fine. Because it says that it is the joy of God that is doing the uplifting. God is doing the uplifting. So what that means is when we are down, because sometimes when you're down, you can't do anything for yourself. This is when other people might have to pray for you. But all you can do in that moment is just be surrendered to God. Have you ever been in that place? When there's nothing else I can do, Lord, I can't do anything. I can't even pray. All I can do is be open and receptive. But that's the moment when you are surrendered to God. God then has the ability to do the uplifting, the transforming. And what a relief that is. The joy of God uplifts me. Affirm that. Yes. The strength of God renews me. The strength of God renews me. Now, believe it or not, this one is also connected to the previous one. It is connected to the joy of God, because not only will you get, if you understand how God works, not only will you be in joy, but you'll actually be strengthened, because this is what the scripture says. It says, the joy of the Lord is my strength. Do you know that one? The joy of the Lord is my strength. So what I'm thinking is that this is a 2-for-1 here. Because we just talked about joy, but now not only will we get joy with God uplifting us, but we also are strengthened. The joy of the Lord is my strength. Because when you're weak, when you're down, sometimes you can't, again, get up for yourself. But if you can just surrender to the presence of God, the joy of God will strengthen you. It will uplift you. When we're down, we are lifted up in joy, and we are strengthened. We are strengthened in mind and body and heart and soul and spirit. And this is a good thing, because thank God we don't have to generate strength. You don't have to generate fake joy. You know, I know we say fake it till you make it. But you don't have to try to generate strength either on your own, because all you need to do is simply to allow the energy of God to flow through you. And when you were in that state, you had nothing else to do but to be open and receptive. If you can just be still long enough when you are weak and when you are down or whatever, to be still long enough for God to renew you. See, sometimes because we can't wait on God, we go, well, maybe if I self-medicate. Right? I'm down, so maybe if I take a couple of swigs, maybe that'll boost me up. Or if I do some other kinds of stuff. Be still and wait. The scripture also says, they that wait upon the Lord shall do what? Renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and faint not. So when we can enable ourselves to take on the joy and the strength of God, to be open and to be receptive, we will be renewed in spirit. We don't have to do the renewing. We have to be open. We have to be willing to wait, to be present. And that's what happens sometimes when you are so tired and you just can't, that's all you can do is wait. But that's a good place to be, waiting upon God. So let me hear you say, the strength of God renews me. Because strength is your ability to keep on keeping on. That's how we define spiritual strength, the ability to keep on keeping on. And that can only happen without you being exhausted. You see, when you're running and you're fainting not, you're running and you're not weary and you're keeping on, you're moving. That kind of strength, that can only happen when you are connected to God. When you're doing it all on your own, you're going to be tired. You will faint. You will stumble. That kind of strength comes from God, you see. So we have to get connected, because it says, in quietness and in strength shall be your trust. It's another one, right? God is the ultimate source of strength. You've got to rely upon it, open it up, be receptive. The strength of God renews me. The beauty of God inspires me. See, I love this one, because beauty, this is the last stanza that kind of just wraps everything up sweetly. The beauty of God. Beauty is for the sheer pleasure of the soul. Beauty is something, who doesn't like to delight in beauty? Everybody wants to delight in beauty, to witness something, because when you witness beauty, pure beauty, what it does is it helps you to remember God. It really touches you. It causes you to feel a sense of awe. When I see a majestic sunset with the purple majesty and all this stuff, I'm just in awe of that beauty. When I see maybe fields and fields of flowers or whatever, it's like, wow, such beauty. What happens is it makes you remember, it inspires you, it opens the heart, and you remember God. You become filled with the amazement. You become inspired. And to be inspired is to be filled with spirit, in the spirit. And when you see beauty, true beauty, I'm not talking about this fake thing that people think is beautiful. Oh, you're beautiful. Not beauty on the outer, beauty on the inner. Beauty that comes from the divine. And we know beauty when we see it, when we feel it. It will inspire you. It will open you up. It's a touchstone for you to remember God. So you can say, the beauty of God inspires me. Together? The beauty of God inspires me. And the last two sentences, wherever I am, God is. Now, you can't get any better than that. Because wherever I am, God is. There is no place that the presence and power of God is not. There is no situation, no circumstance, no condition, nowhere where God is not. And all that is needed is for us to remember that, to call upon God, to acknowledge God in that moment, to acknowledge God in that situation, in that circumstance, in that condition, and to acknowledge him in all thy ways. Acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. In all thy ways. It didn't say, now in some ways, acknowledge God. In some situations, acknowledge God. In some circumstances, remember God. In all ways, in all things, whether you're driving to church, whether you're shopping, whatever you're doing, condition yourself to acknowledge God. Maybe you just need to say, God is. God is present. I'm on the road, God is present. Good is present. To keep doing that in all thy ways. Because what happens when we establish this habit, this way of being as connecting to and surrendering to God in everything, not some things, in everything, and make it a condition, a habit. You acknowledge God, even if you're going into a meeting, God. Don't have to be long. You don't have to get into, oh, God. Just, you might not have time for that, but you can say God. Right? You can say God, because when you're saying God, you're saying good, come forth. God, come forth. God, be present. I hear, I see, I know, I recognize. God is all I need to say. God. Because when you can establish yourself in that habit of doing that, then you will have the realization, the manifestation of that last line, all is well. All is well. When you've done all these things and you're holding all these other things in your consciousness, and you're acknowledging God in everything, you are left only with all is well. Regardless of what's showing up, say, all is well. So, with these two things in mind, this prayer, we have two things that are needed. One is to speak the word of this prayer or any prayer that you speak. You are to speak it as a stated intention. Speak it with power. Speak it with conviction. Speak it with right understanding. See? And then as you speak it, you must then trust it. You have to trust that it is unfolding. You've got to trust the process, trust the prayer, trust the power of the word that you're speaking. Jesus the Christ said, the words that I speak, they are spirit and they are life. And you must not hesitate to make the same statement. The words that I speak, they are spirit and they are life. I will speak them with faith. I speak them in truth. I speak them in my power. I affirm them. I decree them. I declare them. I know them to be the truth. When you start using your words as a stated intention of prayer, your words will carry the vibration and energy of spirit, and they will accomplish the purpose to which you have sent them. That is how it works. And so it is time for all of us to put on the whole armor of God. And prayer is your covering. Prayer is the protection that you need, the protection for your consciousness, It keeps your consciousness right so you don't venture off into fear and doubt and, oh, look what they're doing, and oh my God, this is what he said now, and oh, what if this happens, and what if... I've been there too, like, oh my Lord, but can't go there. I have to keep my consciousness protected through the power of prayer, because my life is consciousness. So stay prayed up. Prayed up, and then press on with purpose and power. Stay prayed up and press on with purpose and power. You will be, and you are, a fearless light bearer. Blessings and namaste. Namaste and blessings. Blessings.